6 or 7 or 8 points, you can have bouncy shapes. And this is sort of like the minimum that you need to defend yourself effectively when the opponent comes to attack you. So this is the first thing you do. As you guys know, making territory requires a lot of stones, 5, 6, 7 stones. Making 2 eyes requires a lot of stones. You know, famously, you need 10 moves to make 2 full eyes center. So you have to make do with what you can, which is bouncy shapes. Okay, so far we've been extremely general in everything. These are just ways that real life uses bounce, tires, ball, balloon. Okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is take a look at a few well-known Josekis. We'll shift me over to our KGS code board. We're switching over to our KGS code board after next. Go board. First, we're going to take a look at a few Josekis. This is how this is the first sort of look at what bouncy shapes mean. The first thing to note is most Josekis end after one thing, which is after both sides have secured a relatively safe group. Now, not all Josekis end when both sides have very clearly well-defined territories. So sometimes the Josekis can end when both sides have reached a lot of bounce or immunity from attack in their shapes. You guys have not seen this one Joseki yet, have you? Yeah, it's a very classic one. This is a whole set of Josekis, much more popular in the modern era than before, where it's a 2-move Joseki, where one side has 2 moves in the corner. So it's what happens after black plays 2 moves in the corner. This is one Joseki, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have this fight, you have this jockeying for space, and at the end of this, the Joseki ends here. And the Joseki ends, what do you do after the Joseki ends? Sustainable development, which is anything else that's big, which means that you don't need to do any more protection of your stones. For example, here, white needs to play this move because this group is in a lot of danger. So you need to play this. After this move, white has reached sufficient strength, sufficient ice space, sufficient bounce to Tanuki. But at the same time, of course, black has a very, very developed group. That group is very, very safe. So this is how this Joseki ends, when both sides are relatively immune from attack. Another very common Joseki that you guys have heard of, have seen, is the this one, the top left. This one, it's the first Joseki most people learn, and famously, this is black gets a corner, white gets a side. None of them have super well-defined territories. So, the edges are not well marked, but the basic base is established, and those groups are relatively okay. That's when you go away. So all the groups on this board have sufficient bounce or sufficient resilience to attack, resistance to damage to Tanuki. What do you do when you Tanuki, guys? Most Josekis will end when both sides have reached this sufficient amount of safety. Of bounce. All right. So this is very, very common in Joseki patterns. Okay. The next set of, do you guys quick poll? Prefer Josekis or life and death problems or Tsumego? Joseki, Tsumego. Wow. You guys surprised me. The proportion is much higher than expected. I know there's only 20% of you who raised your hands. Still much better. I hate Tsumego. I hate memorizing Josekis. All right. But The next set, the most easy, the simplest, the most clear show of bounce in a shape is codes. Okay, these are, we'll do three Josekis. Okay, we'll do three Josekis. These are, so this is another one that we've seen before. So that's one thing to take away from today, which is there are a whole class of Josekis called two-move Josekis, where the Joseki starts after one side has played two moves in the corner. Upper, crap, and okay. This is what we're talking about. Two stone Josekis. Black has already defended the corner. And this Joseki starts with white attaching here. Don't worry, this is not about memorizing Josekis. I would not put you guys up to something that I need to do as well. Okay, anyways, this Joseki proceeds, and the gist of this Joseki is black captures a white stone on the outside, white captures a black stone on the inside. Pretty symmetric, pretty fair. Again, one note, with all these two-move Josekis, one side clearly looks much better than the other. Guess which side? The side that started with the two stones, exactly. So this is a common Joseki, and here the Joseki ends. Remember, we just said when Josekis end when both sides have reached sufficient safety. Now this clearly there's not sufficient safety, is there? Black can next capture a white stone here. So clearly there's not too much safety, but we'll see that with these co-shapes, sometimes the co are very, very good ways to generate this bounce mechanism that allow you to tanuki, that allow you to do the rest of the board, the sustainable development. Now, here's the most literal graphical depiction of the word bounce on the Go board. Now, there's no words that appear on the Go board, so this one you guys will just have to feel. So what happens with this ko is black will capture, white will tanuki again, and then next black has two choices. If black connects, you see what has just happened. Black has spent the first move capturing a white stone and really digging into the white shape. Right? The first move is really forward, really damaging. But what's the second move? The second move is a connect, which is further back, which is pulling back from the first move. Ideally, of course, when you attack, you're going forward, and then you're cutting your opponent up, things like that. When you have to connect back in this code, you are getting bounced back. And this is what happened. White didn't do anything. The shape did this all for white. So white just let the shape sit there, and when black captured the code, he ignored it. And so now black's like, let me connect the code back. And this is how you succeeded in bouncing your opponent's attack back. Now, what did white do with those two moves? White played two very regular, reasonable moves, but you can do whatever you want. Does not really matter if you played a huge move or a pretty big move. It just doesn't matter as long as you get these moves, right? So now so this is why. So this is the bounce in this shape really articulated. So the only worry then is for black to escalate the code and continue to do damage to white. That's the thing that you're worried about. That's the most logical thing afterwards. And the problem with this one is, remember white already tanuki, and when black plays some kind of a co-threat, so you see it does something important. The important thing to note about this one is when black plays S17 to escalate the code, he's spending a move which is very valuable resources, And so after he loses the ko, he loses a lot. He loses the position plus this extra stone. Now, with this one extra move, you guys all know what to do by now. You do sustainable development, and then you win the game with one move. There was another lecture at the Go Congress called The Value of a Move Throughout the Game. And I was not able to attend, but the value of the first move is double the Komi, 13 points. The value increases in the middle of the game to something like 20 points. In complicated fighting, it's even greater. And then in the end game, it goes down. So wasting a move is something like a 20-point, 15-point mistake, which is very good, which is very bad, which is very good for you. Okay, so this danger or the problem with committing the risk of committing extra moves to this position is exactly why black is basically being bounced back into the black shape. So use codes to bounce the opponent back. Now, here it's good to note when black plays here, black also has a lot of bounce in this shape because white also hesitates to escalate the code. And now when black, remember the 3 space. And so once white plays several moves after the lower right corner Joseki, generally speaking, black is in a dangerous spot. Those 3 stones are pretty much close to getting surrounded. You can't make much territory with it. You can't make 2 eyes with it. You have to do what? You have to make bounce with this shape. And we just learned one form of bounce, which is the ko bounce. But I don't see any ko's. Do you guys see any ko's? Not yet. So the ko bounce will be this honey move, and then the tiger mouse on the second line. This is one of the most common shape-making moves. And of course, why is this most common? It's because it's making a lot of this bounciness in the shape. How is this bouncing? When white wants to do damage to this black groove, white has to prevent black from playing the T2 in Sente, and then playing this S7 in Sente, and some move like this. Clearly, black has 2 eyes for sure. If you want to doubly make sure, just play this. Clearly, black has more than 2 eyes. Okay, so in order to attack black, white has to do something that is damaging to the eye space, which is the Atari. So now you see where the ko comes in. The ko is T4. If white does not continue attacking, you capture the ko, and you're safer than before even. So very often you would fight the ko, and when white plays at T2 at the end, you see what just happened. White made an attack against the black shape with T3, which is very, very forward, which is very, very, it's contact. But the next move that was made is like is a move backwards. This is like, I have a dog, so the dog is very fierce at first, but when the interaction doesn't go well, it scampers away with a tail tucked in between its legs. So this is kind of like white sort of retreating. Okay, right. What do you do? How do you defend yourself after this? Well, now that black has made some ice space, some more stones in this area, in Sente, it's relatively easy to take care of the group. Use your imagination, do what you want, do sustainable development. All right. We'll see that second line Tigers move a lot in many, many games. When you're able to pull it off, it is very, very good. Okay, so questions about these Josekis so far? Good. You guys know your Josekis in and out. Now, we are talking about bounce today, and you might be wondering, what is the relationship between having some bounce and having made your group extremely safe? So the difference between safety and bounce. What if my group is about to die? It's very close to dying. Is this, do I worry about bounce or do I worry about making sure that it's alive? So this is where it's really helpful. Bounce is so bounce is very important when you're fighting, when it's even. Bounce is especially important when it's a matter of life and death. When you're about to be killed, bounce and efficiency and playing the most efficient moves is more important than playing the moves that will get you to live. It's more important than living. And the last thing we'll spend on Joseki's is here. So after black took the ko, white tanuki again, this corner is literally a difference, a matter of life and death for white. And the nice way for black to play the next move is this. So Atari here, when white connects, plays this move. Trust me, this is the hardest life and death problem you guys will have to do today. This white group is dead, right? Correct? Correct. That wasn't so bad. Okay, so white will die if white connects, so white will play this capture. White will die anyway after this this next move. What's going to happen is Atari, and here. Now, we just went over an instance of the second line tiger's mouse, which is a very, very common, very, very good move. Here you see it again. And if you guys are wondering, this is a little easier than the last life and death problem. Black has 3 liberties, white has 2 liberties, and white is dead in the corner. That's okay. And so white, so overall in this game, if you run this with AI, because of all the white tanukis, white is ahead by 6-7 points. But this is an example to show that even when it is a life and death issue, sometimes you still have to use the bounce, use the tanuki, and if you can do enough sustainable development, you can do whatever you want, including letting your stones get captured. That's some of the best fun you can have when you play the game, right? Letting your stones get captured, and the more you get captured, the more you feel good about the game. Believe it or not, that is one of my favorite activities on the board. Of course, there's also, with your extra moves, feel free to spend some killing big dragons. Okay, one thing to mention here is this. Remember, black captured white in the corner. Normally, the best, the most aggressive way that black can play is this Atari. It's, I've killed your corner, I'm going after the remaining stones. And so here is where this code, if you can bounce him back with this code, that would be very, very nice. So this is a great, we started with this Joseki, and we're ending with this Joseki, and we're including the second line, tiger's mouse, and the code bounce, this. Now if black loses a code and gets bounced back by connecting back at T17. Now the corner is reversed and white has more liberties. Yes, and the next question is, what if I can't win the ko? I can't find any coast threats that's big enough. And what do I do if black really goes after all my stones? He's an 8-year-old, he just sleeps an Atari and can always place it. And the answer is, sustainable development. Play any big move you have on the board. You can play there. You can play here. You can play Tengen. You can play whatever you want. And what happens? What happens when he succeeds? He captures one more of your stones. He spends one more move capturing one more of your stone. Remember how fun it is to use your stones. Yes, you can. Once you make this part of Go fun, losing your stones. Go becomes really, everything becomes fun. Okay, great. There's a lot of code, bounce with code is some of the easiest forms of having resilience from attacks of the opponent. Once he has to fight through a code in order to keep attacking you, he's going to spend at least 2 moves to resolve the ko and then capture your group. And in fact, very often when your group is surrounded, getting a ko is like how you desperately try to survive. So, okay, bounce with ko. Great. The next is bounce with I space. Here in the top right, this is a white group. It started with 3 stones. So I look at this and like 3 stones, prime target. It's in the corner. Let's attack it. So black plays 1 and white plays 2, 3, 4, 5. Guys. Oh wait. This is right. This is top right. 2, 3, 4, 5. So note what happened. Black started with 1, which is right next to the white stones. This is as far forward this attack went. This is as far into white shape as black goes. What are the following moves after this? 3 and 5. They are retreating from 1. This is black, white by effectively playing the Tane and the connect is forcing black to play farther back. And this, this relieves a lot of the pressure that you have. Just imagine this is like you pressing on the ball and you get bounce back. You do no damage to the ball. Okay, 6 is another move that's gonna bounce back that B17 stone. If black is not able to play this one, C18, he has to play C17, which is sideways, or the pullback move at B16. B16. It's pushing black back. Once you start pushing your opponent back everywhere, this is like you're filling up a balloon. You sort of, once you have this nice space, then your group is safe. All the groups that need protecting will need this kind of space, and once you have this space, you're pretty set. In the lower right is a snapshot from one of the games that we're going to look at. This is the World Finals. Of course, we only look at the best, and people complain to me. They say, "Michael, I can't understand professional games." Today is going to help us once you see that they are all just trying to play with bouncy balls in the shape. All right. So making ice space can help you create a lot of resistance to damage. This is not thickness because you're not like that strong, but you're very efficiently strong, which is very, very important. Really helps you survive on the go board. It really helps against the 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds who go after your stones all the time. Just set up this bouncy shape, he attacks. You can do whatever you want. You can bounce him back and do your sustainable development. You can set a trap, get him to attack, and then cut him off and counter-attack. You can do, you can have a lot of fun, whatever you enjoy is the game. Next is my favorite kind of bounce. This is the sacrifice bounce. And unfortunately, we have to talk about soccer balls again. All balls have this outer covering. And if we go to a poor place, poor neighborhood, or poor place, you'll see the kids play with soccer balls that have, the outermost skin or flaked off and everything. Sometimes the ball itself is kind of like scratch marks. It's falling apart. But the ball can still do its function because it has still a lot of bounce. And so this is the same with your shapes. It's always okay when your group has to let 1 or 2 stones get captured while you maintain the safety of your main group. This is one of the most powerful ideas in Go. Go is much, much easier when you can sacrifice 1 stone. Of course, 2 stones, 3 stones, 4 stones. That's a little bit more, that's for the pros to do. You guys, 1 stone, easy. 1 stone it's easy to tell that 1 stone is not that important, not that. On the first one, we have a common Joseki shape, and this is a 3-stone Joseki, where it has a corner with the star point. nice move, and a jump on the second line. You've all seen this trick. Now this is a follow-up after that. When black has stones around, he plays 1, 2, and 3. Now, 1, 2, and 3 are very, they're encroaching on your space. They're attacking this corner. But you have heard that this corner is basically foolproof after you have this corner. Now, why is it foolproof? It wouldn't be foolproof if you have to defend it, all the time. So of course, it's foolproof, so white can nuke. That's why the corner is safe enough. But the 8-year-old, the aggressive 8-year-old, is gonna cut at 5 because when they see a cut, they're gonna cut. And this kid has taken some lessons, so he knows that he can survive after the cut. So 5 cut, and so now you pull out this lecture and you say, yes, I see the bounce, the shape. White corner is fine, not because everything is fine, but because you can allow the outermost skin to flake off, and you maintain the overall integrity of the group, the function of the group. So you play 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These are all just Ataris, but they're all steered. All the Ataris are steered in one direction. Which direction are they steered towards? Or steering themselves towards? If you say sustainable development, it's a stretch, but it's not wrong, so it still works. 6, 8, 10 are all on the outside of this fight. So yes, it's sustainable development. They're all helping white play the rest of the board, sustainable development, and they're all forcing black to play where black came from, which means you're bouncing back into the black shape. So 7, 9, 11 are all going backwards towards the original 3 black stones. The original stone 1 and 3. Does that look very clear? Sort of pushing him back, fighting him off. Later you don't have to call this bounce. You can call this something else, whatever you want. But the important thing is we come up with 6, 8, 10, and 12, and that you realize that this bounce back is happening, and that it's good for you, and that afterwards you're doing a lot of sustainable development, and you're really winning the game. That's the importance.
You don't need to compare them to
Yes, exactly. After you play 12, and then if the 8-year-old kid is 5Q, is gonna play B4 and capture 1 more of your stone, and you say, aha, I will Atari, push you back, you capture 1 of my stones, and then you'll take your move everywhere else. And if the kid's like 5, some 10-year-olds are 5 dan nowadays. Yeah. If the kid's like 2 dan, they have to do something smarter. It's not gonna Atari, but it's all the same. For example, so black plays 1, 2, 3. Locally, black is getting bounced back. It's true. And then so that's the first example. However, because white's group is being damaged, there's no clear to rise. It's being surrounded. White feels compelled to take care of this group. So white plays 4, 5, and 6, which makes a lot of sense. And in fact, when the game was played, white was a little puzzled. He's like, 1, 2, 3. He cocks his head sideways. It's like, what? That cut works. 4 works to capture 1 of the black stones. Why did you do that?